the 20th, 8:30 in the morning, time for our county commission meeting to meet. So would you please stand and we will join in the flag salute and invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we begin this day by calling your name to join us as we do the business of the county. We ask for your continued presence in our decisions. Help us utilize the gifts that you've given us of deliberation and awareness of your plan. And most importantly, remember that we all know the reason for this season. We thank you for your continued presence in our lives. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Thank you, Bob. I'm going to alter the order of our agenda just a bit as a chair's prerogative because we have all of the family here, we have our judge here, and we have a new candidate for county commission here who is anxious to be sworn in. So I'm going to turn this over to Judge Worst and allow you, Bob, you probably want to. And then when this is over, family, we'll give you adequate time to take some pictures because it's kind of an important day in your life. So.
I'll let you say Bob Kreitzer so I don't say your name. All right. You'll raise your right hand.
I, Bob Kreitzer,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of Finney County Commissioner,
and faithfully discharge the duties of Finney County Commissioner.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Thanks for serving.
Thanks, Judge.
Take good care.
Now, Bob, I don't want to boss you around, but you stay up there in case they want to get a picture.
I have with me my wife, Barbara, our daughter, Diane, from Burlington, Kansas. She and her husband are educators there. He's superintendent of schools. Rob, he looks a little like me and sounds a lot like me, and has purchased our business or our portion of the business in Tatro. So he continues a long tradition. And I guess the other thing I'm really proud of is that we have 5 grandkids, and 3 of them are employed out of Tatro. We're very, very excited about continuing that tradition. We have another son, Doug, who's in Wichita and runs a very successful carpentry business. So.
We all color coordinated today. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge. We appreciate your coming over this morning. I see a familiar face in the back room. I'm going to acknowledge him. Former Commissioner Bill Clifford, now Kansas representative. Welcome to the meeting, Bill. Do you have anything you would like to say? We'll open the floor to you if you do.
Certainly hadn't planned to, but I appreciate the 7 years here serving with you all. Appreciate the Finney County staff a lot, folks like Dory with whom I've had a chance to work. And I think you all know, and I know as well, we've served the citizens well in this county. So I trust we've nominated to the governor, and she's appointed a great replacement. And I look forward to working with you from down in Topeka, as I like to say.
All right,
Thank you.
we appreciate the years that you've committed to us, so thank you. All right, moving right along, the chair comments is on the agenda, and my comment is to welcome everybody. This is kind of a special day for a lot of people. And with that said, I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt a consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt the consent agenda.
Second?
A motion second, any discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? That passes. And then our regular agenda, does anything need to be changed there? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the agenda.
Okay? We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. It is now time for public comment, but I'm going to alter this just a bit because we have our emergency manager in the room, and I know he has a little bit of something to share with the community. So Steve, welcome to the podium.
Thank you. And Bob, welcome to the team. We're glad to have you. You kind of know how we do business around here. You've sat on this side of a number of times. Last week, we were confronted with a pretty severe event, as you guys are well aware of. So what we've done to kind of clean up after that event is we've declared a resolution that we send to the state, which is kind of the way we do business. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get funds to do any cost recovery for cleanup and/or damage, but at least that's the step we have to partake in to move forward. If there is some money available, we can reach out and get it. It's not just for us, it's for the city as well. So, I've heard things like dirty 30s and things like that. They were comparing this event to the other day. So if you kind of look at how it's scheduled, about every 25 years, from what I've seen, something like this happens in our county. So, we're subject to have this happen again. We were blessed in a lot of ways. They had some major fires up towards Hayes, like several 100,000 acres, I think. 400,000. I actually heard they're having to euthanize some cattle because of the burn injuries. So as severe as it was for us, we did dodge a bullet thanks to the due diligence of our police department, our sheriff's department, our fire department, our EMS department. So, a lot of positives came out of that. We have a critique set up for Wednesday afternoon to identify some opportunities to enhance our response capabilities. So that's kind of where we stand with that. This is a 30-day resolution, and we'll see what happens with it.
Questions or comments for Steve? We appreciate your
Yes, sir.
report,
Thank
and we
you.
appreciate your hard work, Steve. Thank you.
Welcome.
Now, public comment, anybody else with anything that they'd like to address not on our agenda? And Roxanne, our sympathies go to you. See you in our audience. That we want to recognize you for all that you do. So, anybody, public comment? If none, Lana, the agenda is yours. Let's talk about Western Kansas Corridor redevelopment.
Good morning. So this is the second step in establishing the TIF district, Tax Increment Finance District. And this will go before the City Commission tomorrow. As we said at the first discussion about this, statute in Kansas allows cities to establish TIF districts outside of their incorporated areas, but the county just has to authorize that TIF district. They can't establish it on their own. Are there any questions about this? Everybody knows what it is? Yep.
We do need to have a public hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of public out here anxious probably to contribute, so when the time is appropriate, we'll open the floor for a public hearing.
Yeah, just as a reminder, tax increment finance is very similar to the Rural Housing Incentive District tool. It gives us the opportunity to share risk with the developer, if you will. The developer in this case will build the infrastructure necessary to develop this area into a commercial and light industrial district. And he's building your infrastructure, but what you're giving him in exchange is the opportunity to recoup a portion of the property, the new property taxes created by the development in order to repay himself for the infrastructure, again, your infrastructure that he built.
So the TIF is paid to the city of Garden City?
You'll pay, the folks who locate there will pay their property taxes just like they would any place else. They'll pay their property taxes, and then those taxes above the new increment that's created. So everything that's currently being paid will still go to all of the taxing entities just like it does today. But the new increment, the new taxes that are collected will go back to repay the developer for eligible expenses, which in the instance of a TIF is really just infrastructure. It's the best way to think of it is horizontal construction. It's water lines, streets, curbs, those types of things.
Guess my question wasn't phrased quite accurately. The new development taxes go to the city, that's, is my question, to go back to the developer? Or does everybody collecting tax off of that send to the developer?
No, yeah, it's managed in one, yeah, by one. Yeah, so again, they'll pay their taxes just like normal. The businesses won't notice any difference that are located there. They'll pay their taxes just like they would if they were located anywhere else within the county. It's just how those taxes get handled by the treasurer once they're on this end.
I bring that up because the TIFs are sort of an unusual animal, and it's an avenue to get infrastructure built. And as a county commission, our duty is to take a look at it, and I think the law says, does it create an adverse economic impact? And seeing if it does, we are to oppose that, I'm assuming, and if it doesn't, we're to support it. So right now, we support it. We think it's the thing to do, so. Okay, public hearing time. Is there anybody that would like to address anything about this area before we adopt a resolution?
Do we need to move into a motion into public hearing?
You want a motion? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move we move into public hearing for the consideration of this resolution.
Okay,
Second?
motion second, discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now that we're officially there, does anybody have anything to offer in the public hearing?
We're too late.
When will this start, Lana? I mean, when will the actual construction start?
Yeah, so we've been meeting on a pretty regular basis with the developer and his broker, and the engineers are finishing up some of the work now. We anticipate mid-January. We hope to have kind of some finalized engineering plans, so we'll certainly get moving pretty quickly after that. They're hoping to go to bid late January, February on the infrastructure so that they can get started as soon as what might be a winter clears for us, so.
Can they start actual construction before all of the hearings and everything else are over?
Yeah, the city's hearing will be tomorrow, so then they have just the protest period to wait for, but yeah, all the timing should work out perfectly, that they'll be ready to go, and everything for the TIF side will be in place.
Anything else before we close the public hearing? Well, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Mr. Chairman, so move.
Second.
Motion second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Now, what do we have to do, Lana?
We have a resolution number.
We have a resolution, we need a motion to,
27, 2021, I believe.
I didn't see the I didn't see the number.
that's not up on our screen
You
yet.
gonna make that motion?
Got the resolution, but, yeah, but what?
Get a mo-
27. Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt resolution number 2021-27.
Okay,
Second.
have a motion and a second, and we'll ask for discussion. If none, all those in favor of this resolution say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That passes.
Thank you, gentlemen. The developer was in with patients this morning, wasn't able to attend, but he did want me to thank you for supporting his progress throughout this development. Thanks.
Thank you. Sheriff, I see some employees look like they've been around for a little while, and they're going to recognize that, right? Step forward. Do we, let me ask, do we have some family that you're waiting on to come and for the, okay, because we don't want to leave the family out. So step forward, Sheriff, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, thank you. I have 3 employees I would like to present as 20 years. Guess I can have them all 3 come up at the same time. Is that how you guys would like to do that?
It's your show.
Our floor, huh? All right. Well, let me just, I'd like to bring David Widows up here. He's been with us 20 years, obviously. He started in the jail in January of 2001 and transferred to patrol in October of that same year. And has been with us. He's now in the Warrants Division since 2017. One thing I like to say about Dave that I always think about, that he's very instrumental. He helps us a lot other than just deputy work. He works on a lot of our vehicles, helps us out there, very knowledgeable, and I thank him for that. So, Dave, make sure I get the right one here. That's not yours. I hope these are what you expected. I haven't looked at them, but Dave, thank you very much. Now, if I get Scott Chalmers,
Mike, excuse me just a minute. Somebody, do you want to get closer to get a picture? Are you okay? All right, I'm sorry to interrupt.
I believe that's Dave's wife. Thanks for coming. Scott Chalmers, he started with us in the jail in November of 2001. And then he transferred to patrol in December 2002, where he did multiple things, a K-9 officer. He's currently a sergeant. One of the things I'd like to say Dave has done a lot for us is he's very instrumental in our K-9. Very knowledgeable in the K-9s, very helpful. He no longer has a K-9 for us, but he's still very involved. Helps us with selection of dogs and training still. So, Scott, thank you very much for that. And last, our newly promoted captain of warrants, J.J. Gonzalez. J.J. also started, obviously, in March of 2001. Then he went to patrol in December of that same year. He's been in warrants since 2006, where he's held positions of sergeant, and now he's the captain. One of the things I'd like to appreciate very much of JJ is very instrumental in knowledge of the warrants division and just the way he deals with people and helps us to get people moved around where they need to be, in and out of court. And anytime I have any questions on that, he's very instrumental, very knowledgeable. Thank you very much, JJ.
Now, we have, I believe, a luncheon planned for your 20-year honorees and their family
Yes.
at 11:30. So our meeting's not going to last that long, so if they want to skip out and come back, that whatever would be great, but
It'll be right here,
believe that's-
next door.
it's in the Carol Brown room? Yeah, right here. So, thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Commissioners. Nice to see a new one here.
Anything else going on at the Sheriff's Office we need to know about?
We're doing great.
Okay,
So we're going to keep plugging away. Can't wait till next year.
all right. Thank you, Mike.
Never run out of business.
I got to keep my eye on the clock here. Well, let's go to the county administrator's report. Are you all ready?
Yes, yes.
Move real close to that mic so we don't get in trouble.
Okay.
All right.
Testing, 1, 2. Okay. Just a few updates here towards the end of the year. We do have accepting bond bids should be reviewed today, potentially then for the chairman to sign off on a bond resolution or bond document tomorrow.
That's for the refinance?
That's for the refinancing of that roughly $680,000 for sewer district number 2. Recall, we anticipated over the term of that a savings of about $115,000 for the remaining term of that bond. That was a 40-year initial bond issuance, USDA, with about 20 years remaining. Additionally, Last week on Friday, I met with representatives from SMH, Slomeyer and Hancock. They are the ones that did the engineering for the pump station for Sewer District 3, for those improvements. They will be assisting us in the scope of services for that project, which I should have an agreement by the end of this, before the end of the year. So we'll keep you informed of how that is transpiring. We will have transfers requests for you on your first meeting in January, the 3rd. We'll be meeting with the auditors on tomorrow afternoon just to run through our proposals on that. Remember that we spoke briefly about one challenge that we have this year was the Employee Benefit Fund, which will in essence then move some money into that fund to shore it up a little bit. We did have some pretty good experiences this year on usage. So that will happen on the 3rd. And then really for the most part, we're reviewing year-end processes, trying to close out, we'll be trying to close out the year-end processes for 21 here throughout this week and next week to roll over into the 22 year already. So that's where our efforts are. So that concludes my briefing, subject to any questions.
Go ahead, Rick.
Question, on the audit committee, or when you meet with the auditors, Bill was our representative, wasn't he? Lon's doing it now?
Lon, I believe, has accepted to fill that position for the upcoming year.
That proverbial train coming down the track? Yeah. I accepted.
So he'll be involved in that this year, and I believe we have one scheduled for the middle of next month, if I remember
I
correctly.
haven't seen any notice about it.
It's not
but-
actually scheduled yet. I'm working with the auditors. I just needed the name.
Okay,
Yeah,
All right.
I mean, that's fine.
yes.
Go ahead, Bob.
On Sewer District 3, where there's a new development coming in,
Yes.
and there's an expansion of the existing system, does the developer bear any of the expense of the expansion of that system in their development agreement?
No, not in this particular case. If we had to upgrade the pump to accommodate the additional 70 new units that are coming in on that north pump, the answer would be yes. But since we do not, he will bear the cost of getting it to the manhole in the furthest north location. And then from that, it gravity feeds into then the north pump station on that. So there won't be any cost in this situation.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, and I'm not refuting anything, but just further clarification. We've had significant pump problems there for quite some time. Matter of fact, as I was heading out of town last Friday, I think they were bringing a pump back from Great Bend. I don't know if it was in ours, but there's a trailer down there by the pumps now, so I'm guessing that's where it came from. The pumps have not been sufficient in that sewer district for the current, well, there's 85 homes in one area and 125 in the other area.
Yep, that's correct.
One of my coffee drinking pals who lives in Southwind is saying that they have a too much pressure situation in part of that line, and he's been working with Larry and others, but the Tatro folks been out about 8 or 9 times reconnecting some kind of a connection that blows apart because of high pressure. So we got a wrinkle or two that besides pumps to look at.
And just to let you know, my meeting with SMH on Friday, they will be doing an assessment of all three systems, all 3 districts, to rectify any and all of those types of issues.
Okay, and then, I'm sorry, Bob, where are we then, if anywhere, on the district to the west, the proposed Let's look at it, district.
Not certain where we're at on that for sure. I think it is still under study.
Yeah, it is, they are in the process. They were hoping to have us a preliminary report by the end of the year. They said that might get pushed back a week, but the final report, which is due at the end of January, is still on track to get to us by that time.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think just as a point of information, Sewer District 2,
Two.
Southwind has sold, there's a new owner, and there is the intention to go ahead and develop that interior portion of lots in the middle of the golf course. So as they're studying, that would become a factor in what might be happening. Because in the original Southwind development, they were down to the last 5 or 6 lots that were available. But there are another potentially 30 or so lots in that middle section that could impact.
That's good info, and that's the information that we're looking for the consultant to look at the extension of those services, the mains and so forth.
Okay. Anything else?
Good.
County counselor is not here today, and unfortunately, there's a compelling reason. Do you want to share?
Yes, I believe on Saturday her father had passed, so
So we send our condolences to
absolutely.
her family.
And I know she has an awful lot of contracts and agreements that she's reviewing, and so there'll be a delay.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just for everyone's information, the vigil is tomorrow night, and the service for her father is Wednesday at St. Dominic, Wednesday morning. Either
Thank you,
10 or
Bob.
10:30, I can't remember.
All right, thank you. Coming around the table, which direction do we want to go first? Ron, do you want to start off?
Well, yeah, because Dwayne won't even need to start his clock this time. I don't have much on my plate, but not so many meetings other than I went to Scott City for a housing study meeting, and it was interesting. It's the same group that worked for the state that worked for us here in Finney County on the housing study. And so a lot of the information was what I had already heard through the Garden City, Finney County meeting that we had. But they were giving more of a regional approach, report. So it was kind of interesting to see what some of the other areas of western Kansas are doing with housing. Other than that, no particular meetings. I did attend the chamber breakfast the other morning, and that's about it.
Boy, you did that succinctly.
I didn't even have time to push my
I
button.
know it.
We're going to have to work on clock management around here. So. Dwayne, it's your turn.
I attended the Fair Board meeting this month. It's remarkable. There a lot of discussion already on the fair book, and the fair is not for 8 months. So, you know, these folks really start early and work really hard to put our fair together. But it's good discussion, and I'm pretty proud of this group. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Bob asked me the other day, what's this deal about the clock on lawn? And I told him it's kind of an inside joke, but we have fun at lawn's expense. So with that, do you have anything you'd like to share?
You know, I'm just absolutely a rookie, but I'm looking forward to having a chance to interchange ideas and concepts. And I think each and every one of us, when we go into something like this, you come in and say, you know, I'd like to help, and where can you help from? I think my background in construction can help with the concept of expansion. As we look at the city, as Lon has shared several times, it's pretty well filling up on available properties, and so the county is going to be the next expansion point. And we want to make sure that we do everything we can to make it an orderly growth and make it work. Because, you know, and it's a little more difficult right now because we have some key positions that aren't here in the engineer and public works, which everyone's trying to fill. But we can't drop the ball, if you will. We've got to keep moving forward. And I think to that end, we need to make sure as a county that we continue to be part of the team. I think that's one of the things as we've traveled around the state and talked with people, and they talk about Finney County and how progressive it's been, not only in agriculture and manufacturing, but also retail. We need to make sure that we continue doing what we've done, which is everybody working together, and we've got to have that. So that's kind of the primary thing, and I'm also interested in the allocation of the ARPA funds. I think that's a very important thing, that we focus on making sure that our community uses those dollars in the absolute best way. So that's kind of why I raised my hand when this became available.
Okay, thank you, Bob. We welcome you.
No official meetings. I guess the last one was when we elected, or they elected our new commissioner at the Republican meeting was the last one I attended. Other than that, I was going to listen to the Secretary of Transportation's announcement of new highway proposals. Did you do that one, Lana? Curious, do we get anything out here?
Well, yeah, they are going to finish the expressway, I think is what they call it, between Dodge and Cimarron. I think that's what they call it. And then Highway 83 between Scott City and Garden City is slated to get passing lanes. So, but a lot of good things happening on transportation. So if you guys remember the data that we brought you guys where we had gone through and looked at the modeling that they use and so forth, we have had excellent feedback from those discussions, directly from Secretary Lorenz, and have also been connected with Steve Hewitt, who is the head of the Kansas Turnpike Association, and fingers crossed, I think we're gonna have some really cool ideas to show you guys within just a couple of months, so.
South 83, where's the status on that? What, are they projecting to start construction on that anytime soon? Or?
It wasn't slated to start construction. You know, when we had the discussions, when they called us in for the listening session, I think is what it ended up being, us listening, them talking. There was some discussion about, about that project, and I think some of those questions are still working their way through engineering, but it's not slated to begin right away anyway, so hopefully we'll have some time to get that figured out.
The city, tomorrow, I'm assuming if they have all five there, are gonna take up a roundabout at 156 and Jenny Barker Road again, so.
Yeah, or Mary Barker, as we affectionately call that intersection, the Mary Barker intersection. Yeah, they were just to vote on whether or not they wanted the presentation done. So they're not voting on the actual roundabout.
It'll be interesting, because I can see both sides of that issue, and it'll be fun. And interestingly, Lana, I want to point out something that was revealed with the project we just considered at 83 and the bypass, that more trucks go through that intersection than are on I-70 between
At the
Colby
Oakley
and
interchange.
Goodland. I mean, that was an astounding figure, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of traffic, and I think we're already starting to get good feedback from the various folks we've put it in front of. So I think it's going to be a very successful venture.
It'll be interesting, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Lana.
That's all I have.
That's all it is?
Mr. Chairman, I was thinking about past meetings. I do need to report, I was invited to a meeting at Pierceville tomorrow, and what triggered it's with regard to the Highway 50 between Cimarron and Garden. So I will be attending that tomorrow morning.
All right, good. I have a little to report. I'm going to make a passing remark here about, everybody saw a letter from a lady about a tree in South Winds, and it's on county property, and I'm going to say that we've spent about a big part of the day wrestling around how do we handle the tree, and thankfully the Brookover folks went and took care of it. So I appreciate Ty and his folks bailing us out. I also attended it's officially called convention, where our cohort here was selected or elected as a replacement commissioner. Had a local emergency planning committee meeting, and those are always interesting and they're productive. We've got some young leadership in that grouping that get things done, and Steve Green is a big part of that. So for a long time that languished, but it's picked right up. So The Finney County Committee on Aging meeting happened to be Wednesday in the middle of 85, 90-mile-an-hour winds, and so they canceled it because their protocol is if USD 457 is closed, so is the senior center, and both were closed. And then I attended a planning commission meeting, and I'm going to ask if Larry wants to give a little bit of an update on that train track that's going to move a little bit from where we first heard about it, right, Larry?
Oh, the unit train
Yeah.
co-op.
You
It's
want
going to move next to Tyson, basically, so it'll be right south of Tyson.
Okay. And with that, I had a meeting at the coffee shop with Steve Green to sign the disaster declaration, the resolution. I got to get the right term out. So that was why he was here to report today. So anything else before we move into executive session?
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, do we need a motion to approve that resolution?
No, we already, we can put it in the minutes if you want, but that resolution,
Resolution?
Actually, the chairman has unilateral decision on that one in
yeah,
case of
what it
emergency.
says in the law, I'm going to recite this from memory because I had aught with it, a difference. It says that the chairman of the county commission is authorized to sign that disaster declaration, and in his or her absence or incapacity, a majority of the remaining commissioners are empowered to sign that. That was what the law said. And I was county emergency manager. I had concerns because when it came to the Kansas Association of Counties time, all of our commissioners were in Olathe or in Shawnee or Topeka or somewhere else. And my question was, how did we declare an emergency with all of them gone? So we rewrote the local emergency plan, which has the power of law, to where where any single emergency manager entitled, whether it's the emergency manager assistant or alternate, they can sign, and then they have a duty to notify a county commissioner by the most immediate means available, which probably is a phone call. But to answer your question, it was all, in compliance, so. That went in, it, as Steve said, may not gain anything, but doesn't hurt to try. So, with that, anything before we go to executive session? It's not any secret that we're going to go discuss our county administrator, and it's his annual evaluation time. So here's what I would like to do. I'd like to have a meeting, an executive session meeting, let's say 30 minutes with just the commission. And then we can come back and see if that's enough time, and then invite our county administrator in and go from there. And
One last thing I didn't mention earlier. I currently am in the last year of my appointment as one of your appointees to economic development, and I'm serving that same time frame here, replacing Bill. Is there a direction that you want me to take with the economic development seat during this final year? Whichever way. Mr. Chairman, you said I was going to be the liaison with economic development. It's just a matter of which side of the table I sit on, so
Well,
I ask for direction.
I'm going to speak just from a personal opinion. I see that as the potential to be viewed as a conflict when you're on both. And so my advice would be for you to step down from that and let somebody else be appointed. And then if you want to go as liaison or just go attend a meeting or whatever, that's great. But that's my feeling. I don't know about the fellow commissioners. I think you have one more meeting scheduled here this month.
January is our annual meeting.
Yeah, and I would not argue about your keeping your seat until that annual meeting. And
Well, Mr. Chairman, I definitely think whenever there is a conflict of interest, there's ways to avoid the conflict in voting here in this boardroom. However, the feedback I've received out in the community with unsolicited feedback is that Bob should step aside from economic development for appearances as much as anything. So then to me, it's up to Bob, but that's the feedback that I've received.
Go ahead,
Hey,
Larry.
I'd like to see, I'd like to see Commissioner Kreitzer at least fulfill his duties
Right.
through January. and through
Right.
the-
Yeah, and I think that's appropriate. Yeah, I think
And
that's
then,
appropriate.
then it's kind of up to Economic Development's board how they want to handle it too. Because we can always appoint whoever we want as a liaison to audit the
Correct.
meetings.
Correct, yeah.
And we're knowledgeable about a candidate or two who would like to be named to that position on the Eco Board, so. Joanne, you have a,
I guess I would tend to second the discussion that's already been placed. Conflict of interest is kind of scary, Bob. And as far as board appointments, our incoming chairman has some influence on board appointments every year, and so I think that would
yeah,
be up to you, sir,
What are you looking over here for?
because I intend to nominate you.
our discussion, Bob and I, we, after he was named, went and had lunch together and kind of discussed a number of things, and I just made a passing comment that he knows economic development well, and that can serve to our advantage. And I wasn't naming him officially to be the representative of the county commission there, so it was general discussion, so. Anything else before we? All right, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session for 30 minutes for non-elected personnel and just the board.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we'll be back at 9:45. So what room is available? We are back from executive session, and no action was taken. And now we need another executive session for non-elected personnel with the county commission and county administrator. 30 minutes, yeah, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
For 20 after? We'll be back in here at 20 after.
Okay, if all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? That passes, and off we go. Is he turned on?
Is your mic on?
Okay, yeah, my mic's on. We are back in regular session, out of executive session, no action taken. With that said, is there anything else to come before this body before we adjourn? Nothing at all?
What's the update on our road and bridge department? Where is our director on that? Did you see? Okay.
Okay, and we will, when we adjourn, we will reconvene, not convene, but we'll reappear here at 11:30, all of you on, able to come to the meal, so to honor our 20-year employees. With that said, we will, until the, what's our next meeting, the 3rd day of January, we are adjourned.